The heart is a business. He walked right. Wait a minute, sorry. Can't fucking see. West of Mercy, Tim Peeler and Clayton Joe Young. For everything that lives is holy, William Blake. The shack. Voger knew that at some point death might be the only way to protect all his secrets. Lord knew he had some bad times, like when the cops closed the shack and he had no place to stay. Wandered up and down 70 looking in the store windows, snuck out behind the fish pond, dragged a big box with him, slept under it. Crickets roared, woke in sweaty chigger bites, walked by the shack office, lifted the yellow tape and busted a room door open. Stepped in and heard a snake hiss, number 13, Briar's room. "What you doing in here, fool?" Briar said, and the snake hissed. "Don't worry none, it don't bite." "Can I sleep here?" Voger asked. "This place is shut down tight, man, but I ain't got nowhere to go, and I'm bit up as a hound." "Okay, but you owe me big." Voger owed everybody big. Vicinity. Voger walked past a church that had been an adult bookstore for many years, then past the Bull, a smoked-up supper club, then past Wreckers, a junkyard covering up an old farm, then Hosses, a strip club he'd only been inside once, which featured women that mostly stayed at the shack, bony, half their teeth missing. Finally, past a store where everyone walked to buy smokes from Ruby, the cute, pregnant, packy chick who Voger was in love with. Vicinity 2. "God damn," Briar said, dropping the old yellow state dump truck he called Maybelline into drive. They passed the Mexican car lot, where cars faced every which way like cattle freshly herded into a feed pen. "I remember when this road was 2-lane, he said, rolling his window down and popping the mirror with his fist once. "That damn brewery was the cheese barn. Had good spaghetti. See that big-ass auction house? Why, that was the first big box. Buzz Peterson came here with his grandfather. You know Buzz, Michael Jordan's roommate at Carolina? Buzz's sister sat behind me in homeroom. She was a goddamn goddess, too. They owned about 62 stores. Walmart plowed them under good. Voger, are you listening? I'm trying to teach you a thing or two about this town." Forever now. I remember my daddy used to sing to me at night. He'd go, "Had a little dog, skinny as a rail. He had fleas all over his tail. And every time his tail would flop, the fleas on the bottom all hopped on top. Then he'd plunk me in the back of the head like this." And Briar plunked Voger with his index finger like he was thumping a melon. "God damn, you're dumb, boy." Avocation. It's a well-worn way to go. The red trail at the new park, horse-hewn and wagon-driven, long before yuppie townies came in Reeboks, halter-topped, snacking on granola bars, discussing their CrossFit plans. Voger liked to sit out front of the ranger office, hold a black snake for the kids, or ride out to pluck a coot from an overestimated climb. Some days they cleared tree limbs after a storm, and Sarge said, "Have a sandwich and a Coke." And on slow days, they smoked weed and talked about religion or the state of government. It was only 3 days though. It was just a weekend park. Avocation 2. He was the kind of father you generally see these days. Cue ball head, arm tats, husky, holding his boy out to touch the king snake where it lapped over Voger's slumped shoulder. But when the boy recoiled, clearly terrified, Daddy shoved him harder, gripping his hand till he touched the dry scales. When he screamed an electric, blood-curdling scream, the father slapped his tear-stained face, and the snake lunged toward Voger's bare knee, delivering a quick bite. "You stupid son of a bitch," Voger said, carrying the snake back into the park office, dropping it into the glass cage. Sights and sounds. I remember Ruby when she first started out at the store, the way she turned and reached up for my smokes, and how she say these or these like a new word, like the start of a bird song, and I tried not to look at her ass, but there it was, tight right where I had to look, and she turned and caught me, paused, and said, "Anything else?" Place. Briar's grandpa, Longhead, opened the shack right after the war. 10 rooms and a gravel lot, radio and a cross breeze. The highway to Catawba started here, where the mill stink of the last little township ceased and the mill stink of the next clusterfuck of houses began. History. Built in Eisenhower time, the front row at the highway, the brick ranch next door so as to watch the shack, and then the big Baptist church so filled with Methodists that cannot read, fishermen that need dunking. Back then, the shack at the end of the long highway started in Oklahoma, death struck through Tennessee, a warning to land sailors, carpenters, company presidents with secretarial secrets. Longhead, no judge of other men, cash registered all their money, carried it in the sun to the bank. Habituals. Briar's ex unhoused him, then moved another in, the ball coach at the local high school, plugged dumb except for football plays, and they would sit in lawn chairs sipping cheap bourbon whiskey till she started hollering, "Hey, Briar," at the motel. But Briar could be a tar baby when he needed to, and he waited till they were flat slammed, till he clomped over toward the yard, the hissing rattler slung around his old bull neck. The setup. So Briar wants his house back, and Voger wants a moped and a girl and a pay job. Isn't that how this all works? Voger and Briar, the good guys that yearn to have better lives, the supporting cast of cruel obstacles, horrible times, hillbilly elegies for the ever immediate age. All kinds. Randy and his fox girlfriend sitting around waiting for his mother to die so they can have the home place, the land out next to 40. Gonna be worth something someday when Trump fixes everything up. Half a mile from the shack, half a mile from the Baptist church, Mama watching the TV, Randy's fox girl sitting there wondering how long she got, thinking if she was a dog, they'd just have the hag put down, or give her some antifreeze like the woman on the news who killed her lazy husband. Rambling man. Voger borrowed the money to get the golden Vespa from Briar, Briar count out the 20s on his knee, shake his head sadly. This the kind of thing he do. Briar the good, the shop owner say, take this, and hand Boger a helmet, flat black with curved Viking horns. Briar fill the scooter with mower gas, say you pay me Fridays when they give you your park check. Boger head to the mountain, past the interstate highway, past the vacant mill village, slow up the big river hill, past the miniature donkeys, past the soybeans and hay, past the shiny black church, looked like the devil live in it. Last laugh. The poet keeps writing, and the world doesn't give a fuck. The poet keeps writing, and the world doesn't give a fuck. The poet keeps writing, and the world doesn't give a fuck. The poet keeps writing, and the world doesn't give a fuck. The poet keeps writing, and the world doesn't give a fuck. The poet keeps writing, and the world doesn't give a fuck. The poet keeps writing. The meaner the boy that lives with his mama, the more he loves her, confides in her, cares for her, and carries her burdens all the way to the grave. But the pussy boys and their gold digger girls stay up studying the wheel, conniving to shortcut time, stealing mama's Vicodin. Randy and Rita Mae, like the snakes in the grown-up lot behind the shack. You can't see them, but you know they're there. Ancient history. Briar was number 2 on the town roundball high school team, and Longhead thought he'd be the next big thing after the state champ game-winning shot, talked about for years at the town cafe. Then Briar went to play college one term. Rumors circled him after, forever, slippery stories of drugs and girls, something even crazier, something broken, unspeakable. And what he left in those stone buildings in that mountain space was his last pure hope. The story has it, Randy used to play guitar in some local bands, knew the scene pretty good, and one time, through an elaborate set of circumstances about which no one is completely clear, except to know that he sat in with Rick Derringer at the old Coliseum. Like a ball player's cup of coffee, he got a taste, stood the stage like he was at the end of a diving board or at a cliff's edge, and he played 4 songs, 28 minutes and 17 seconds. And though he never got a call again, he talked for hours about that 28-17 till everyone began to call him One Show Randy, and then just One Show. But man, that was a long time ago, and now he is waiting on his mama to die. The Eagle. Boger got that $200 every 2 weeks, enough to pay Briar room, eat peanut butter sandwiches, eat beanie weenie, potted meat, drink bottled water, lest the doctor cut off his feet, like he said, there in your boots, beat himself half to death thinking of Ruby, till he dreamed the devil chasing him out 70 on his Vespa, like the running in place dream. devil catching up fastly, and he could not find the shack. The Crocodile Hunter. You might think he looks like old Steve Irwin. Remember the alligator hustler? But Briar, now near 51, looks a little like John Denver too. And the last thing you think is that guy was a point guard. But Briar still dreams of splitting the front defenders at the key, then angling to the goal, contracting his body to slide between post players, then zipping a pass to his five, though you didn't call them that in the way back yonder days. Briar's anecdotal evidence, Red Hat Club. The rich will always shit in your shoes. It's the one solid fact you can hang your John Deere hat on. Volunteer bitches driving BMWs, blowjobs in back offices, book clubs and CrossFit, a trip to a palm reader after salad and too much damn red. If we could only have slaves again, they are both thinking, stuck behind Voger on 70. Poor man, she says, or she says, the rich will always shit in your shoes. Assistant Ranger. Voger liked the red trail best, but the blue one pretty cool too. And he liked the way orange crossed both near the mountaintop, and he liked the long after storm days, clearing busted pine limbs, 80 years since they took the timber, shipped it north to build the sea houses. Voger liked the watershed, the long wash downhill, thicket that rushes through the bottom, out toward trailer-topped hills. Voger liked the way the land always take back more than any man can give. Epidemia. So much like life where nothing seems to happen forever, and then the thunderclap death when we are thinking of food or a forgotten lover. Briar's wife overdosed in her car while she waited for a hot bucket of chicken, extra crispy. Briar's anecdotal evidence. He looked like Uncle Arthur, except 19 years old. He'd always been picked on in school, and yet he seemed relentless. Told stories of summer work in Texas, selling Bibles door to door. They let you out at 7 a.m., picked you up at 6 p.m., and you learned to talk fast, to prey on the weak, the poor, the frustrated. Briar listened to his spiel, decided to find someone to help the boy purchase some vodka, which was where the conversation had gone. So they stood outside the liquor store at the far end of the lot. This was a mountain town with a college, not the damn other way around, Briar said. Totality. Briar moved back into his house, began the long process of evaluating his life, all the what went wrongs of it, decided that maybe Longhead should have left the shack to his brother, the one who played left side of the infield for King and his court 20 years, Eddie Feiner, like Evel Knievel, except less outlaw, loved Briar's brother, Tote. Then there was the day when Randy's mama walking beside the road, so slow that from a distance it looked like she wasn't really moving. But if you had been looking, she would have gotten bigger and bigger as she got near the shack. When Briar saw her clomping the walker through the gravel, he thought, how the hell did she get all the way here? Her mouth foaming green. I know why the blues man threads. Sometimes I like to just sit between shelves of dearest books, worn covers and skelter stacked, when the moon peers through the glass behind me and I exist the way time does between graves and flowers. Abandoned mill village. Just like everybody, Voger stopped to look at the village, found a stray puppy living in a house where the floor was so warped it looked like the ocean rising toward the door. There was a bowl half filled with gravy-trained dog chow in the corner beside a baby shoe and a science textbook. Morning glories burst through shattered windows, purpling the drab kitchen, and Voger stood there like a man at a wreck scene, stunned, while the puppy whimpered. Adult education. Briar give Voger books to read, sit with him at the shack nights, talking about the stories, making up stuff to see if Voger read anything. He say, yes, I remember that, when Briar say something crazy. Briar say, Voger, damn it, now you gotta know stuff in this world, and he slap him hard. Voger look at the broken mirror, see himself start to cry. The hardest part. Briar held the purple barrel-shaped pill in his palm up to the dorm room light, so tiny, like a little piece of hard candy. He expected grape flavor, but there was nothing, just a metal, bad breath taste he remembered from high school. It was 10 p.m., night before the first day of ball season, and he knew he would end up somewhere crazy, staring at water or in the back seat of a car speeding along the mountain ridges all night, and he sat there before the storm, calm in the waiting. Permanent records. What's in us is in us hard. Cross bridges and enter gates. Listen to water waiting in coves, lapping against dams, where gates lie in ruin. Enter anyway, houses we can never leave, walled memories, the whole hill of August years, leaves that lift and dip, hurdle, smells that itch we cannot scratch. What's in us is hard in us. Media. Briar checked the Facebook on his iPhone, read the reviews on the shack. Nice quiet place to stay, one says. Cheap piece of shit dive, another one says. Briar scrolls the news feed where his music friends fight with each other. Damn libs, damn repubs, damn losers. The guitar player he saw way back when he was in school says he's gonna leave the damn country. Briar's waiting for his tax break. Just want to rent rooms, kick motherfuckers out if they don't pay. Walk the ridges in the moonlight, sip whiskey. Says, hey, everybody needs to get along. Worthy. He would never be more than the birds that thrash through dry leaves, startling the city hikers who walk slowly holding phones up, holy electronic divining rods, light in the August light. He knew he was less than the broken trail rocks, kid-kicked and walking stick poked. He would never take to sky like the hawks at the tower, lifting from umpire arms to where we don't know. He would never be more than the blackest, oldest layers of leaf rot and detritus. Yet, he could not say these words. He just wanted Ruby and love. The Middle Testament. For God said nothing, and He meant it. The real. He knew he should not have poured from the second pint. Arthur, already stumbly, bubbly, he knew when they all stood, backs to the tunnel wall, waiting the train you could hear blaring in the next mountain pass. He watched Arthur beside him, the speck of vomit on his mouth, and he wondered, no, he knew he should not have brought him here, where the train passed a foot from your face, and the rush was not like any roller coaster or Ferris wheel. It was real. The will of the Lord. Level-headed look at this, thought, how the train light sobers, could smell Arthur's drunken sweat, hear the ball player's cleats clack the gravel, then the noise behind the thunder beam that is everything. Arthur stumbling, Briar reaching, the primitive roar, and that boy never sell Bibles in Texas again. Elegiac. Some days Briar and Boger walk past a senior sitter, past Hardy's and Bojay's to the town graveyard, and they walk paved narrow driveways to Longhead's lonely tombstone, which proclaims a New Testament verse, dates, and a mountaintop landscape. Briar pauses there, then recites a poem, sometimes Yeats, other times Dickinson or Whitman. Not what you would expect from a guy who milks snakes and swallows venom. Not quite desperation. We went to the company, drank beer, shot pool, and the shit. All those dudes have moved to a little place beside the tracks that pulses with blues and grass, politics and Harley guys. Everything smells like wood grain, spilt beer, aftershave, and sweat. Mostly gray hairs who survived cancer, alcoholism, bankruptcy, parenthood, sheer boredom, calluses, and cocaine. Leaner. She could never quite bring herself to run me through in my sleep. In the heavy part of the night, though I liked the singer who was missing a tooth and wearing a raincoat, colossal bastard, hideous as her childhood nightmares, when I became my own render, sparked out coal cinder. She loved animals. She did not kill animals. I was her half mule. I was her ridiculous. And she could never quite bring herself to be my ender. Briar's advice to Voger. When the only way to make it is to join, don't join. Don't slap backs and trade compliments. Don't let anyone make you a member. Stay away from churches and doctors. Don't stop running to chat ever. Keep your hand on your drink. Always let them come to you. When you've had enough, you will know. Don't walk fast, except when you leave. Fling. Briar's college girlfriend was a blonde from Atlanta whose dad shot the aerial pics you see on touristy postcards. It was far from glamorous, but she was used to the good life, and when Briar took her to a local roadhouse, she was not sure Jesus would have approved, particularly when the owner's 13-year-old niece began stripping to Elvis. They left quickly in Longhead's Buick Electra, deuce and a quarter, he called it, and Briar's ex-college girlfriend began to pray for Briar till he finally asked her to goddamn shut the hell up. Calamity. It seemed like the regular thing, Ruby reaching for his cigarettes while Voger watched the toe lift, tighten her ass, through his favorite stonewashed jeans, her sigh and turning like a dancer's pirouette, but not this time, not so easy, as her husband's reedy, strained voice split hairs entering Voger's big old country ears. What you think you looking at? The deed. The magazine stand that held High Times and Easy Rider flipped backwards as Voger grabbed the bastard by the neck. The store seemed to wash in the red dot that pocked his brown forehead. Voger thought of the widows that hid under the beds at the shack sometimes, and he squeezed a scream from this brown spider till it stopped and he dropped like a corn sack in the old days as Ruby cowered in a corner by the lottery sign. The heart is a business. He walked right past the Vespa, leaned on his kick by the pumps. He walked toward the sunrise. He walked like a man walking home, but he was walking to the shack. And Voger had done it this time, his mind zipping, his ears roared, the highway roared. He remembered running a fever, how his mama dropped him in a cold bath, held him while he shook, while his teeth clicked. He had to find Briar. Briar would know what to do, what to do. Climbing toward eternity. Where we going, Briar? He asked. He had never been the other side, come up by Briar's brother-in-law's, and the mountain looked harder and older on this side. The red dirt trail packed like pure iron, fat chunks of rock stuck in crazy gulfed-out holes, slick stretches of rain-splattered leaves, yellow and red as death blood. 2. The park don't own this park, Briar said. A timber company from Florida does, and they haven't touched it in some years. Once this guy tried to run wire from his house up these trails to the satellites on top. It lay beside the trail, seemed like forever. Damn crazy motherfuckers on this side. The slope tightened as they climbed till they left it for the ridge that dipped back into a rocky hollow overhung with laurel. Three. Voger ducked as he entered the cave. Where are we, Briar? He asked as Briar slipped a pistol from the back of his waistband. 4. In the enormous meadow of the old Fry family farm, some migrants worked the farthest rows of ornamental shrubs, spraying Roundup as they passed each other. Both looked up at the firecracker report from up in the hollow, then back to their work, pumping, spraying, dancing sideways through light. Gulfed in flame. They said you could see the smoke for 50 miles, maybe more. From Marion to Statesville, the motel is gulfed in flames, one fella told another as they passed the haunted mill in their beat-down ladder truck, red lights, and the sky boiled black. They said it was a miracle that nobody was there, no meth heads shut down in a 2-day sleep, crying babies, or hungover drywall men. Some said Briar might have done it. Some said it was the old wire, the fancy pine paneling, the utter will of the Lord.